What is a fossil? My grandchildren think I'm one. But in reality, it has a technical term. FOSS is an old word. It simply means a hole. IL refers to what's in it. And so what you'll find is this is a word that goes back to Greek and to Latin. These are common sort of languages we use in science. But they actually invented this word because they came across dead things in the rocks. And you say, okay, that's 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago. Why didn't they invent geology or paleontology? The answer is their religion was wrong. Because most people think, hey, religion's there, science is there, nothing could be further than the truth. Religion and science are like that. Wrong religion, wrong science. Okay, right science can actually lead you to the right religion. One of the professors I've worked with was a geomorphologist who became a Christian by finding the evidence of Noah's flood. And you can see his DVDs on our creationresearch.net. But when you look at the question of fossil and the ancient Greeks, the ancient Greeks actually pointed out one thing about their own religion. They believed in many gods. They didn't have one God. They didn't have the God of the Bible. When Paul was on Mars Hill, he was looking at all these statues and he said, that one there to the unknown God, I'm going to tell you about him. He is the creator in Acts chapter 17. And then he proceeds from that point because they had wrong gods. Okay, why didn't they make use of the word fossil or the concept of fossil? The answer is simply, put into your head what was in their head. Gods who are just like us. They cheated, they lied, they could joke, they could play tricks. And if you believe that, you Joe the Greek fisherman, you break open a rock, you find a fossil fish, and you look at it and you say, fishes don't live in rocks, which is true, by the way. They weren't into lying about what's in rocks. The fish didn't live in the rocks. Then your next thought is, Zeus, good try. You can't fool me. I'm smart. And you put the rock back down and you write, and that's how we know this, they wrote the fossils are tricks played on us by the gods to deceive us. Now, if you believe that, you may find fossils, you may invent a word, you'll never use them because the world is deceitful. Okay, fast forward 1,600 years to the Reformation. Martin Luther rediscovers the God who is the way, the truth, and the life. Carl von Linné rediscovers that God has created things each according to their own kind. And science in general rediscovers that I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the world is the way it is because God is a God of law and order and He stamped His nature on the creation. Question, can you trust this God? Oh yes, He's the one who told Moses, you won't tell lies. Right? And that becomes your whole framework. Here's the truth. You won't tell lies. You're made in my image. I stamp my nature on the world. If I'm the truth, the world can be trusted too. Okay, go from there. You're Joe the Christian fisherman now. You believe God is. You believe the world can be trusted. So therefore you break open a rock and you find a fish in it. Fishes don't live in rocks. I'm smart, right? But now you know that the world can be trusted. You go one step further. It can't be a trick because God doesn't deceive us. If it looks like a fish, it's because it probably is a fish. Question, how did it get into the rocks? Now, that doesn't answer the question, but it opens a new doorway, and finally out of that doorway comes geology and geomorphology and paleontology, the study of fossils, etc. And it's a Christian premise, right? And most people don't appreciate that all of our modern geology actually grew out of a belief in the rock of salvation, right? And that makes the real rocks easier to understand. So what you'll find is when you look at the fossils itself, it's something that's dead, well, it is dead now. It didn't need to be dead when it got buried, but it is buried and it's been buried deep enough and fast enough so it actually didn't fall to pieces. Some of the dinosaurs that I'm associated with, you find the whole dinosaur, neck bone, connect to head bone, connect to backbone. They were buried before they could fall apart, and many of them you can prove they were buried alive. So fossils, one of the best reminders that God has judged this world with water. Many creatures were killed and buried, and it didn't take a long time.